digest last night's game? You even said it was going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah, I mean we've definitely spent this morning more in the big picture of what's gone on so far this season. At the 41 game mark, digesting the 21 and 39 we had before Christmas. How did that affect our psyche? How has that affected us? How have we developed as a team? The healthiest thing after your most painful loss of the season is to go into a bit of a bigger space, because looking at the details of the game last night would just drive us all crazy, because there were a lot of details that kind of came together like a big storm at us to turn that game around and put us on the losing side. So looking at that, we are again refocusing forward, and the tasks that we have and the spaces we now have. Looking at games coming at us in a pretty good pace with a more healthy break in between here and there. We've got a lot of home games coming up, and so right now I have to tell you the truth that there was a big picture conversation now with the team about what's possible and how important it is that we don't get distracted by the noise that's around us, as far as the negative pressures that might be coming at us here and there, which are understandable because of the run of late, and grab on more to the good things we did and how we played and what we've done on the ice that have given us a chance here, especially the last 3 games. We come out with 0 points against Tampa Bay, Boston, and Boston, with so many good things happening within the games, but absolutely unacceptable that we end up with 0 points out of those 3. So the pain needs to remain, and we shouldn't floss it over. But what we need to do is concentrate on the process again. We know we're in a group phase of learning and growing, and the group in there is coming out fighting this morning, and the coaches are fighting, the players are fighting, and we'd like to show the crowd here, who were unbelievable in my first half of my first season here in Buffalo. We want to give them that as a New Year's gift tomorrow against Edmonton. We want them to see the fight and the reaction. So that's kind of the feeling here this morning. Quite honestly, we went big picture to get some sanity out of the pain yesterday, and again, there are good things we need to grab onto and get right back at it tomorrow.
When you're in this big picture discussion, is it strictly from the coaches? Is it a lot of interaction coming from the players and or leadership group and back and forth? How do they receive all that?
So, Brian, that would be more a conversation with all of us together, really. Just, of course, it's my job as the head coach to lead those conversations and to gather that information. But in the end, I'm a voice of the group, and I'm a voice of the coaching room. I'm a voice of the players. Even when I'm standing here in front of you, I'm a voice of what I'm trying to give you as much of what's going on inside there without breaking the sanctity of what's inside there. So it's kind of a giving to you and the public and the fans. At the same time, there are some secrets that we need to keep inside, and some private processes. But I have to say, the flow, even in the pain of last night, and the way we interact after that and the way we work, gives me a lot of energy as a head coach, believing in this group's potential and its ability to grow out of this pain. And we don't run away from each other when this happens. We actually come closer together. And so what I'm speaking about here is really a process that's continuing, another really difficult phase behind us, but a real exciting month ahead of us, with a lot of opportunity and teams that we've had a lot of success against in the first half of the season. So we can take courage in that. But it is all of us together here working hard towards solutions and towards getting the momentum back in the direction that we all want it to be in.
You mentioned keeping things in-house yesterday. Multiple reports surfaced that Evan isn't pleased and voiced that and might want to go elsewhere. What's your level of disappointment that this is the second time in a month that something, a disapproving player gets that gets out?
Well, again, I can only speak to what is. And what is we will end up here with a group of players that really want to be here. And we will work with the players that really want to be here, and quite clearly play the players that want to be here.
You knew coming in that there would be at least a midway point before all the habits you wanted became habits.
Yeah.
How is that going as we reach the...
I would say, John, other than the mental fatigue and individual errors that have popped up here in these games against, arguably two of the three best teams in the Eastern Conference, you get punished so quickly with little slip-ups. For us, it's exciting, and this is nothing for our fan base to be excited about right now because the results are what they get excited about. But it's exciting for us as a coaching staff to see the buy-in on the principles and the concepts that we reached for in training camp. They are really, really there. We see it every game. There's highlights that we'll be putting together as we move forward when we bring in new players or we're teaching or we're sending to Rochester clips. So we've got a lot of good things happening. What's happening is the mental fatigue of sustaining those habits over and over and over again for 60 minutes. It's still not there. It's still not there. We still don't have the mental wherewithal to stick with those habits. As soon as we are plus 35 seconds in a shift, as soon as we're 4 games in 7 days and it's tough time, we have individual breakdowns still in those situations. And those will go away because the hearts are in the right place. These guys are now calling their errors themselves. That's the big difference. So early in the season, if we would play a clip in the breakout room, we like to work in smaller groups once in a while, 1-on-1 to 5-on-5, somewhere in that range. We would always have to say what the issues were. Now they're giving us the issues themselves. So that's the next phase of habits becoming the norm. So when we see the experience of the Boston Bruins and the Tampa Bay Lightning over the last 3 games, for instance, it's phenomenal, the calmness of that group as they work themselves through the games, and the emotional swings that they go through compared to what we go through are much smaller on either end of the spectrum. And for us, the swings are still a little bit too large, especially near the end of that stretch of the 21 and 39. You could feel the mental fatigue of us as we headed into the Philadelphia and the Ottawa. You could just see the Toronto, Philadelphia, Ottawa phase there, LA. We kind of started slipping in the habits, and now we hope with the pace of, as an example, I look today 18 and 46 compared to 21 and 39. So we've got a whole different phase ahead of us here. If we look at our next phase that we're kind of looking at of 18 games, it's keeping that mental strength all the way through and the habits all the way through. That's what's missing, not the understanding of what we're trying to do. That's a big difference. In training camp, it was, what do we need to do? Where do we need to go? And that went on and on and on for about 20 games. And then somewhere around the first Boston game, you could feel the group understanding. And then it got into a really strong phase here where we beat Nashville, we beat St. Louis at home, and you could feel everybody got it, everybody understood it. And then it started to slip ahead a little bit in the heads. And so that's it. We have to, for me now, it's more about us and sustaining. We're playing a lot of teams we've seen before. So the introduction of teams and the pre-scouting on teams is not as important as the teaching and the way we develop within the group and the way we use our now we have a little bit more practice time. We have a little bit more teaching time in between the games, and may that show up in the games eventually. But interesting is that teaching and the practicing, more of it's coming from the players now to the players too. The language on the bench is fantastic. Players are actually telling players what they need to do on the ice, or when there's breakdowns out there, they're actually reporting it on the bench, which we're getting excited about. But again, it's nothing for our fans to be excited about. What they need to be excited about is that these guys are working on this and that these habits are becoming something we believe in as a group. And Sabres hockey is going to have an identity. We are building an identity here, and we are going to show our identity even still this season. It's going to come out more and more consistently, I am sure.
You've mentioned about processing pain quite a bit in regards to losses. What are your means about processing pain? I guess that's a phrase that we're not used to hearing.
No. So processing pain is a really important thing here in a league like this where you have no time. It's the speed of doing that. So it's a simple looking your pain in the eyes. So for us, it can be the mistakes we made. It can be an emotional thing that happened. It can be something, maybe for me personally as a coach, for instance, could be at the end of the 4 minutes of penalty killing yesterday, do I put Larson and Gergensen's back out one more time? And yes, I did. And yes, we get a goal against and there's a breakdown. So I, as a coach, look at that pain afterwards and go, well, maybe I pushed them one too many there. 4 minutes, almost killing. It was just going so well. And then we had a slight breakdown, but is that a decision on my part? Is it a decision strategically? Is it a decision from the players' part? Then you interact with the players. How did you guys feel at that moment? If we're at the end of a 4 minute, should we use 6 guys? Or so that's how we as coaches process that. So that's my personal issue of where I think I made a mistake and it led to a goal against. So again, the players need to do the same. And once we've identified those learning situations, I call them learners, then you need to look at what your next task is. And then you need to apply those things. And that makes you feel good again, because now you're going back to work. So they're back in the gym today. We're not going on the ice. Have a good gym session. Tomorrow, let's have a good pregame skate. Let's stick it into the game. The next practice we have. So what winners are able to do is bring themselves into constructive processes quickly. That's what processing pain in life is all about. So if you stick with the pain and you stick with the process too long, it will eat you up. And there's no room in this National Hockey League to feel sorry for yourself. There's no space and time for you to have pity on yourself here, because the league will just eat you up and spit you out. So you need to regroup quickly. And that's what this group, I'm really, really happy with the attitude of the players in that room right now. It's been really, really good insofar as these kind of processes are concerned. What can we learn? Let it go. Let's be better, and let's fight forward. And if we do that over and over again, that'll make us stronger for challenges even within games, to recover even at warp speed. So you've turned over a puck in the game and you process it, it's over, it's done, boom. So what we're doing maybe now between games, if we could bring that into the game, that would make us a better hockey team. So pain is there to test you and for you to learn and grow from if you use it properly. Otherwise, the only thing it does is eat you up and turn you into a loser. And so it's making those winning decisions is what we need to learn to do better.
Back to Evan. I mean, you talked to him in the preseason. He was brimming with confidence. He just got that contract, and he doesn't have a goal. What, from your perspective, has happened to him? Has he just lost his confidence?
Well, what happens is the competition in the group has been hard, and some players will have profit from it, and some of it will struggle. And it's also the principles and concepts we're looking for. I told you early on that some players who played a different way, and they'll have to give up some of themselves to become part of a group dynamic, which gives us a chance to win every night here. If all 5 guys on the ice are connected, then we have a chance, and if we're not, we won't. And what would happen is often players will give up or lose on the offensive side, and it's possible, with him that's the pathway that's been difficult for him, and not for everybody does that come as easy. And then, he just needs to continue to work on his game, and we'll make decisions now lineup for lineup and look at the facts. Again, we'll deal with that inside and internally with what the truth is of the situation, But, not everybody evolves in the same pace within the concepts or principles of a team,
Thanks, everyone.